Imagine this. A tiny, innocent-looking tennis ball, wielded by eager kids, suddenly becomes a symbol of doom for players on the court. Welcome to the wild world of the US Open, where even the smallest details can turn the tide of a match. Let's dive into the thrilling events of Day 8, where the unexpected became the norm, and the jumbo tennis ball met its match. But here's where it gets controversial. The kids with their giant tennis balls aren't just cute. They're strategic masterminds, and their actions can influence the outcome of a match. And this is the part most people miss. The art of playing with a lead is a skill that separates the champions from the rest. But can you really blame the kids for trying to secure an autograph from their favorite player? It's a ritual as old as the game itself, and it adds a layer of excitement to the tournament. But here's the question. Should the US Open do more to control the jumbo tennis ball phenomenon, or is it all part of the fun? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the action. The Athletic has live coverage of the US Open 2025, and you can follow all the US Open coverage too. Welcome to the US Open briefing, where the Athletic will explain the stories behind the stories on each day of the tournament. On Day 8, the US Open's jumbo tennis ball went rogue. The art of playing with a lead took center stage, and Carlos Alcaraz achieved another milestone. A cute harbinger of doom gets its power taken away. Since at least 2024, the US Open's jumbo tennis ball has acquired meaning beyond being a canvas for autographs. With the tournament getting busier and busier, the hunt for a favorite player's signature has become more competitive. It now requires planning. Fans still surge forward at the call of game, set and match, no matter the occasion. Field court or stadium court? Favorite player ever, or one they didn't know existed until taking a seat to watch them play for their tennis life? The ritual is the same. Ball under the arm, permanent marker in hand. The conciliatory handing over of $53.35, and maybe some wheedling to an eventually obliging parent, happened earlier. But the competition means some fans make their move earlier. So look up at any scoreboard that suggests one player is not long for the tournament, and you are likely to see a gaggle of giant tennis balls slowly bobbing down sets. Tennis might sometimes turn on a single point, but the kids aren't interested in a comeback. They have become the equivalent of the Roman emperor's thumbs down, determining that a match has arrived at its final stages and that the player who is behind is dusted. Sunday, they finally met their match. In the second set tiebreak during Taylor Townsend's thrilling match against Barbora Krejčíková, Townsend had no fewer than 8 match points. At 6-3 in that tiebreak, she had 3 in a row. The harbingers of doom prepared to move. Krejčíková made them wait. And then at 6-7, she laced a backhand onto the edge of the sideline, so close to being out that the kids and ushers thought she had missed it, prompting that surge to the front. But Krejčíková hadn't missed it. So she stood at the baseline at 7-7 in an already ludicrous tiebreak, wondering why a coterie of tennis-ball-toting kids were hunched over near the umpire's chair, stuck between the autograph they craved and an actual seat. The tiebreak went on for 14 more points before Krejčíková won it to force a third set. Meanwhile, the jumbo tennis balls were stuck in purgatory, stripped of their power of prophecy. The last couple of days have served as a reminder that playing tennis when level or behind is very different from playing when ahead, especially for underdogs. Saturday, Denis Shapovalov was a point from leading Jannik 4-0 in the third set of their third-round match. Sinner got out of that hole, and then Shapovalov got to 40-40 on his own serve at 3-1. Sinner's shoelace snapped, so he paused to change his shoe, giving Shapovalov some time to think about the scenario he likely did not need. Sinner put on his shoes, broke Shapovalov's serve, and rolled to victory untroubled from there. In the night session, Anna Kalinskaya was the better player on the same court for much of her first set against Iga Swiatek. She served for it on 3 occasions and failed each time. She hit double faults on 2 of her 4 set points. Swiatek perhaps the greatest frontrunner in the sport, ultimately came back to pinch the set in a tiebreak before winning the match in straight sets. On the same court a day later, Arthur Rinderknecht grabbed an early mini-break in a first-set tiebreak against Carlos Alcaraz. In what had been a serve-dominated match up until that point, he was on course to take the opening set. Instead, he double-faulted on the next point and won only one more before losing the tiebreak 7-3. Alcaraz won the next two sets far more easily and cruised into the quarterfinals. And over on Louis Armstrong Stadium, Townsend got herself to within a point of beating Krejčíková on no fewer than 8 occasions. Her run to this point had been typified by her fearlessness, but with victory in sight, she couldn't seize the moment, undone by her own caution, while ahead, and Krejčíkova's freedom when behind, with the Czech blazing winners onto the lines to save several of them. The ability to step up in such moments is a part of what separates players such as Sinner, Swiatek, Alcaraz and Krejčíková, all of them multiple Grand Slam singles champions, from the rest of the field. How exactly did Markéta Vondroušová do that? Elena Rybakina was rolling. After losing the first set of their fourth-round clash, Rybakina appeared to have taken over the momentum of the match when she broke Vondroušová to win the second set 7-5. But Vondroušová regrouped to overpower one of the most powerful players in the world, never more so than in the final game, when she fired 3 aces to get her first match point, then blasted another big serve to seal a 6-4, 5-7, 6-2 win in a battle of the 2022 and 2023 Wimbledon champions. Vondroušová endured 2 surgeries in the last year, and she barely played from February to May because of lingering pain. 1. Aryna Sabalenka along the way, and now she is into the quarterfinals in New York. She certainly didn't look like someone who had shoulder surgery during the past year Sunday night, when she blasted 13 aces to just 5 for Rybakina. The Kazakh failed to return 34 of Vondroušova's 82 serves, with the Czech disrupting Rybakina's baseline rhythm with alternate backhand slices and heavy forehands. Vondroušova's victory means that the Czech Republic, with a population of 11 million, has 2 of the 8 quarterfinalists at this year's US Open. It's a telling statistic for a player who looks more locked in than ever, having reached the final of his previous 7 events. He's referenced learning lessons from last year's second-round defeat here to Botic van der Zandschulp. And he said he doesn't think he's performed this consistently at any other point in his career. None of which is to say Alcaraz isn't still producing the usual smattering of mind-bending shots. In the penultimate game of his victory over Arthur Rinderknecht on Sunday, Alcaraz chased down an overhead and speared a forehand passing shot on the run that drew gasps from the crowd, before caressing another ludicrous forehand past the Frenchman to set up the chance to break and serve for the match. This is the Alcaraz tennis experience. The extraordinary is normal, and to have dropped just 9 games on average per match as world number 2 feels kind of strange. Even for a player who is now 33-1 in his last 34 matches. The Spaniard is slowly erasing his already tenuous reputation for inconsistency. In-match unpredictability does not necessarily lead to up-and-down results. And now that in-match wavering appears on the wane too, Jessica Pegula started a day of mostly smooth sailing for the top seeds on Arthur Ashe Stadium, beating compatriot Ann Lee 6-1, 6-2. Novak Djokovic, 7, had a similarly smooth path against Jan-Lennard Struff, Q, going untroubled in a 6-3, 6-3, 6-2 win. Aryna Sabalenka, 1, eased into the quarterfinals, beating Kristina Butzer 6-1, 6-4. And Taylor Fritz, 4, made a potentially difficult match against Tomáš Machač, 21, look routine, coming through 6-4, 6-3, 6-3. Carlos Alcaraz played 2 hyperdrive return games to break Arthur Rinderknecht in the second and third sets of their match. Here's the best shot of the third. Marta Kostyuk, 27, versus Karolina Muchova, 11, at 1 p.m. Eastern, estimated on ESPN+. There are bigger names and more acclaimed players on the schedule, but this duel has the potential to be the best pure tennis match of the day. Muchova's finesse is well known, but Kostyuk has her own version of it, sliding and stepping in and out of corners and sneaking forward to close points before her opponent notices. Ekaterina Alexandrova, 13, versus Iga Swiatek, 2, at 1:30 p.m. ET, estimated on ESPN+. The Iga Swiatek struggles against power hitters Maxim, has more holes than most in tennis, but Alexandrova is in hot form and beat the world number 2 in Miami last year on very similar courts. That is to say that this match should be a competitive one, but because of the two players involved, not because of an axiom that falls apart under the slightest pressure. Naomi Osaka, 23, versus Coco Gauff, 3, at 2 p.m. ET estimated, on ESPN+. The first genuine blockbuster of the tournament. A 4-time Grand Slam champion versus a 2-time Grand Slam champion. Two of the biggest sports stars in the world on the biggest stage in tennis. A pure ball striker against an elite defender. Tennis cinema is hopefully on the way. Jannik Sinner, 1, versus Alexander Bublik, 23, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, estimated, on ESPN2, ESPN+. When Alexander Bublik beat Jannik Sinner at the Halle Open in Germany earlier this summer, he became the first player, not named Carlos Alcaraz, to beat Sinner in 49 matches. He gets another shot on the hard courts in New York, and with Sinner having at times looked discombobulated by Denis Shapovalov's mercurial shot-making in the previous round, Bublik will believe he has a chance. He doesn't have much choice. Tell us what you noticed on the 8th day. 1.